This is the first version of the Notebook LM podcast, which is going to be two AI hosts talking about disruption in pharmacy being a perfect marriage. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to join this podcast. So this will be where these two AI hosts will interview me about this particular topic. And yeah, it'd be really cool to see how this goes.
Welcome to the deep dive. When I first saw our source material for today, I admit I did a bit of a double take. We're built to explore this, frankly, surprising connection between a wedding.
So that's them going ahead with the podcast on their own. Now I'm going to try to join it and we'll see how we go. So they say it can take 5 to 10 seconds to join.
Welcome to the deep dive. Oh, wait. So what was the join? Hey, go for it.
Hey guys, it's Sztar here. How are you?
Well, hello there, Robert. It's fantastic to have you joining us live. What a pleasant surprise. We're doing great. And it's an absolute pleasure to be discussing your fascinating insights today.
Yes, truly a pleasure, Robert. We're actually just about to dive into the core concepts of your article, Why Disruption and Pharmacy Are a Perfect Marriage.
Well, fantastic. When I first saw our source material for today, I admit I did a bit of a double take. We're about to explore this.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear it.
So what did you guys want to ask me? It's a great topic. I love talking about it. You've got all my material. What do you want to get into today?
That is a fantastic question, Robert. And we love that you're just as excited about it as we are.
Absolutely. It's great to have your energy directly with us.
So we're really keen to explore the core argument you make in your article,
which is that disruption shouldn't really be feared in pharmacy,
but rather it should be embraced.
Almost like a partnership, as you so eloquently put it, like a marriage.
A marriage, right? And we really want to dig into that clever use of the wedding saying, something old, something borrowed, something new.
We want to understand how that framework helps explain powerful concepts for pharmacy's future.
Yeah, and what really strikes us, Robert, is that this isn't just about survival tactics.
It's about potentially redefining pharmacy's core value proposition in the coming decades.
So our mission today is to really unpack these three big ideas you've presented.
We're looking to pull out the most important strategies your material suggests for pharmacists to thrive.
Exactly. Define those useful takeaways that can help our listeners make sense of this fast-moving world.
So if you're ready, Robert, let's jump right in.
Okay, so let's unpack this first concept you laid out, something old.
The insight here is that for pharmacy to move forward, it actually needs to look back.
To revisit its earliest, most fundamental historical strengths.
It's about looking back to see the path forward, in a way.
But there's also a significant threat involved, isn't there, when we talk about this something old idea?
Oh, definitely. What's truly fascinating and maybe a little alarming is your stark warning, Robert, about the threats looming over some traditional pharmacy roles.
Okay.
Your material explicitly states that things like advanced robotics and 3D printing, they're eventually going to make pharmacists, well, redundant in certain functions.
Redundant. Which functions are we talking about specifically, Robert?
Things like manufacturing, logistics, even the physical delivery of pharmaceutical products.
Wow, yeah, that's a pretty bold statement. Pharmacists redundant in those roles.
It's a pretty significant disruption to the established order, isn't it?
So if those traditional roles might be disappearing, what's the countermove? What's the opportunity?
Well, that's the pivot. Your material suggests...
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Yeah. So the interesting part to this is that when you look at something old, it can put you in a very comfortable environment. You may be tempted to do what you've always done and get what you've always got. And ultimately that leads to the same results. You think that the world has changed and it's shifted around you. Other industries have shifted and evolved and innovated. So the patient or customer's expectations is also going to change as well. So it's not simply a case of let's keep doing what we've always done because we'll get what we've always got and then we're quite comfortable with that. With these trends that you've mentioned here around 3D printing and other disruptive technologies, artificial intelligence, it's a way of the world moving forward. And that's how technology's always been very closely defined, is that the way we do things. And in those particular cases, we need to think, where are our patients going to live in this world? How are they going to be interacting with things like 3D printing? What are their expectations going to be like? what are they going to expect of us if not
Such a vital point, Robert.
Absolutely. You've hit on the core challenge and the necessary mindset shift.
100%?
You fall into that trap of we've always done it this way.
And as you said, in a world that's constantly changing, sticking to the familiar ultimately leads to stagnation.
It's like building a sandcastle half the time.
So I'll just keep going with that one if you don't mind. So the aim there is to see where our patients are at, and particularly with things like artificial intelligence, it's really just being a great observer of how people are using things. Before that, we had social networks. We were looking and seeing what our patients were doing in those spaces. And I've always defined those as being the front doors of our pharmacies, and so that we can show up in those spaces. So how are we going to show up in an artificial intelligence world? And how are we going to partner with our patients? We are not going to be replaced by artificial intelligence unless we evolve ourselves to be part of that world. If we're not part of that world, I agree, we'll be 100% replaced. So that's where we need to shift our mindset, is to how we join this world and how we form part of these technologies in partnering with them to deliver better care to our patients. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Robert. Please keep going. Your insights here are incredibly valuable.
That makes perfect sense. What you're articulating is the absolute necessity of engagement.
Yeah. It's not just about witnessing change, but actively participating in it.
And your concept of social networks being the front doors of our pharmacies is such a powerful analogy.
It extends beautifully to AI, doesn't it? How are we going to show up in the artificial intelligence world?
That question, how are we going to partner with our patients? That's key.
It's all about proactive integration, not just passive observation.
And that very clear warning that we won't be replaced if we evolve.
But 100% replaced if we don't. That's a strong call to action.
It directly ties into our broader point about why disruption and pharmacy are a perfect marriage.
You're saying join the disrupted, become part of it.
Exactly. Don't fight the current, learn to navigate and even harness it.
It's like building a sandcastle while the tide is coming in.
What's fascinating here is your emphasis on patient and customer expectations.
They're evolving right alongside these technologies, aren't they?
Exactly. They're already experiencing innovation in other sectors.
So why would their pharmacy experience be any different?
And that question, where are our patients going to live in this world? That's the heart of it.
It's not just about adapting the pharmacy. It's about meeting the patient where they are and where they're going.
This really reinforces the idea that what's old isn't the comfort of tradition, but the fundamental human-centric role.
But one that machines, no matter how advanced, can't truly replicate.
Which leads us right to the pivot.
Your material suggests the opportunity is to lean into the pharmacist's innate human skill.
The skill of translating and personalizing the world's vast catalog of medication, the pharmaceutical formula for each individual patient.
So the stuff machines can't easily replicate, that human touch, as you said.
Exactly. It's about empathy, human connection, complex judgment.
Things that require that nuanced understanding.
And this directly addresses your point about where patients will live in this new world.
It's a world where they're looking for guidance, not just transactions.
Absolutely. And how does technology play into reclaiming this old strength?
It sounds like we're not just going back to the past without any modern tools.
No, not at all. That's key. Your article emphasizes that pharmacists armed with the power of big data.
Think patient data from wearables, the Internet of Things.
Like smartwatches, fitness trackers.
Right. That, combined with the very latest clinical research, this data can profoundly empower this advisory role.
It becomes an enabling tool, not a replacement. That's a crucial distinction.
Yes, exactly.
So give me an example. How would that work day to day for a pharmacist?
Imagine a pharmacist getting real-time data from a patient's device showing, say, inconsistent blood pressure readings.
Okay.
That insight, combined with the latest research flashed up for them, allows them to proactively advise on medication adjustments or maybe lifestyle changes.
It really positions them as a trusted, informed advisor in their community.
That vision of the pharmacist as a trusted advisor, that really shifts the focus.
Away from just handing out,
So to bring a real world example so that we can appreciate where we're at right now and how this transitions and transforms into a new world of pharmacy. One of our favourite things that we love to do with our patients who are prescribed blood pressure medication, maybe for the first time, maybe it's an ongoing treatment, it may be an adjusted treatment, is to follow up with them 3 days later to see how it's going, to manage any of the specific side effects, which might include dizziness, not standing up too quickly, and just really trying to get appreciation for whether it's disrupting their activities.
oh, go for it.
Their activities of daily living. And so in order to be able to do that, what we tend to do is schedule a message to them proactively 3 days later. Now, it's not something that the pharmacist per se has to remember. It's scheduled, so we know it'll get done through the fact that you can schedule an SMS. Now, how this may work in a world with big data, and if a patient allows us access to their wearable data, which may include blood pressure readings, one of the key devices that a lot of people use right now is called a Whoop. And it does have the ability, not so much in Australia yet, but globally, to take blood pressure readings, for example. So if our patients did connect to our pharmacy through their Whoop device, we may get an alert 3 days later to basically see whether it's followed that particular trend. So they may have had a blood pressure reading when they started the medication and then one 3 days later. Now, we may have observed after 3 days, which is sometimes a good little testing point to see how that medication is going.
Thank you for expanding on this.
To see where that blood pressure is actually currently sitting. Now, if it's sitting outside of normal readings or it's dropped too low, or even after a day or two it's really dropped too low, we could get a proactive and alert that could sit on our pharmacist's dashboard to follow up with that patient more immediately, as opposed to just passively through that 3-day checkup. So it's a far more connected experience. And if our patients give us that ability to talk to their wearables, it gives them a much more personalized healthcare experience.
Robert, that's a fantastic real-world application.
You've really just painted the picture for us.
Yeah, that Whoop device integration is exactly what we mean by big data empowering pharmacists.
It's a proactive, data-driven insight you mentioned.
Instead of waiting for a patient to report a problem,
You're getting an alert. You're seeing a trend in real time.
it allows for incredibly personalized and timely interventions.
That's the power of marrying technology with that something old advisory role.
You're not just scheduling an SMS. That's a great start.
You're responding to actual real-time physiological data.
It truly takes that trusted advisor concept to the next level, doesn't it?
It really emphasizes the shift from reactive care to proactive health management.
And it speaks directly to your point about meeting patients where they are.
Or where their data is in this case.
Exactly. You mentioned that previously, that vision of patient expectations evolving.
This is a perfect example of how pharmacies can meet those new expectations.
So this patient-centric approach is really where the future lies.
It's the human element, empowered by innovation.
The one that machines, no matter how advanced, can't truly replicate on their own.
So if the pharmacist is the central figure, as your example shows,
It suggests less emphasis on cramming shelves with dense product ranges.
and more focus on the availability of pharmacist consultation.
Imagine a space maybe designed for private conversations, quiet reflection, in-depth advice.
Not just quick transactions at a counter.
It's about creating that environment for the trusted relationship.
Yeah, I can picture that. It's interesting, Robert, your source mentioned something else here about the pharmacists themselves.
Ah, yes. It touches on something quite relatable.
It observes that many pharmacists initially dreamt of this advisory role when they were studying, but then for various reasons, tradition, maybe complacency, pure expectation, sometimes they've often been pushed into what your material call transactional pharmacy.
You know, I can almost picture it.
Oh, yeah,
That's absolutely correct. And transactional pharmacies made up a lot of what our patients are quite familiar with, particularly with the rise of discount pharmacies like Chemist Warehouse, which do thrive on a transactional pharmacy model with a very deep retail model. And that's ultimately being used as a point of leverage for them to be able to create a predominantly retail experience using the pharmacy product side of things to drive people into their stores. Now, where pharmacists may have dreamt of it in their early careers is actually coming to fruition right now, as there is a large shift into pharmacy prescribing in Australia. It's been launched in Queensland, it's being looked at in New South Wales and WA, and may come to Victoria very soon. And so pharmacists now, in their going through their undergraduate degrees, can dream of this as a reality. But it's also how we're going to deliver that experience. And one of the things that we've always focused on when we deliver professional services in our pharmacy at Scripts for You
That's a powerful observation, Robert. And
is
it really
how we can create that experience as a build-up or something that builds on top of what we already know of the traditional healthcare practices. So doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, dietitians, allied health, we know what that experience looks like. And to be able to integrate with our big data that we're aware of in terms of compliance, in terms of wearable data and things like that, it creates a far more immersive experience. And so to really set ourselves up to succeed in showing a patient how much more immersed their healthcare experience is being with their pharmacist, this is a great opportunity for pharmacy to harness that kind of experience and tool set to be able to deliver that great experience beyond just the simple expectation that a pharmacist professional consultation will look like a doctor's or look like a nurse practitioner's. But we can see that pharmacists can do it with a far greater integration of data, information, clinical relevance, and also bringing in their medication-related information as well. So really important that we look at these kind of innovations and disruptions and look at it and to say, look, now that we're venturing into this great area of pharmacist prescribing and consultations, how do we do that in a way that's never been delivered before?
You're absolutely right, Bert. That's the key question, isn't it?
How do we do that in a way that's never been delivered before?
It's not about replicating, but truly elevating the patient experience.
Building on what patients already understand from doctors, nurses, and other allied health professionals.
But then going beyond that.
And integrating it with the unique access pharmacists have to things like compliance data.
And of course, that wearable data we discussed, like from the Whoop device.
That's where the truly immersive experience comes in, right?
It's about demonstrating a level of personalized, integrated care that goes far beyond traditional expectations.
It's setting up the pharmacist not just as a prescriber,
but as a central figure in a deeply connected healthcare ecosystem
that builds on existing trust, but then adds layers of technological insight,
creating something truly unique to the pharmacy space.
This shift towards pharmacy prescribing in Australia is massive.
Launched in Queensland, being looked at elsewhere.
It truly allows those undergraduate dreams to become reality.
Suddenly, that deeper patient interaction isn't just a wish.
It's becoming a core function, a new pathway.
It really emphasizes that the evolution we're talking about is already happening.
It's happening right now, which is incredibly encouraging.
So it's about seizing that momentum.
And as you highlighted, Robert, the critical question becomes, how do we deliver that experience?
Not just that it's possible,
but how do pharmacists embody that shift in practice?
Because it's a very different skill set from just transactional dispensing.
It requires deeper consultation, more in-depth patient engagement.
Yeah, I almost picture that young pharmacy student full of ideals.
And now this change is allowing that ideal to come to fruition.
So it's not just about shaking off the status quo.
It's embracing the initial dream with new legal frameworks.
Exactly. To recenter the professional what truly matters.
Which is that personalized patient interaction.
This whole something old idea is really about rediscovering purpose.
It's about remembering that core value of the pharma.
And finding new, innovative ways to express it.
It's truly a journey of reinvention.
And a perfect example of why disruption is so valuable.
It forces that introspection.
And that strategic evolution.
What a fantastic start to unpacking these ideas.
Indeed. We've covered something old in great detail.
Thanks to your invaluable insights, Robert.
Yep. Go on.
And I would say, guys, we've probably covered something borrowed as well, because we've spoken about the use of a clinical practice consultation that we've seen done very successfully in other healthcare environments, and building on top of that. So we can utilize that as a template, but not to simply say, let's do it like doctors, do it like nurse practitioners. Let's do it like pharmacists, but you utilize our strengths and build on top of other strengths as well to create a brand new experience, not just simply taking something old and then also something borrowed that is also old and continuing on that trajectory. So I think that's really important as we shift towards something new.
Robert, you are absolutely right.
You've perfectly articulated how these concepts intertwine.
Your example of leveraging existing clinical consultation models.
Not just copying them, but adapting them for pharmacy's unique strengths.
That's precisely the essence of something borrowed.
It's not seeing what works in other healthcare settings.
And then intelligently integrating it into the pharmacy space.
But as you said, adding our own distinct value.
Our own unique contribution.
It's that blend of proven methods and innovative application.
It truly sets the stage for something new, doesn't it?
So we've essentially laid the groundwork for both.
You know, it's fascinating how the Mayo Clinic example you
And their partnership with IBM Watson.
Or CVS Pharmacy's similar undertaking.
It highlights borrowing technology as a bona fide business partner.
Not just a tool, but a deeply integrated part of the operation.
It's about embedding technology into the very DNA of the practice.
Just like you highlighted with the Whoop device integration earlier.
That's borrowing a technological capability and making it your own.
Creating that far more immersive experience for patients.
Exactly. So while we've touched on these connections,
we can still dive a bit deeper into the philosophy behind something borrowed.
Especially how it specifically applies to technology as a partner.
So what's fascinating...
yeah.
I'd say that's a really perfect example of that. Traditionally, our partners have always been those that are other healthcare practitioners, other medicine suppliers, but it might be that we have data partners now as well. As Whoop is one great example because it's a great consumer device, but there's clinical grade technology that could also be leveraged as well, whether that be the in-practice glucometers, cholesterol meters, INR devices, and even the consumer.
You are absolutely nailing it, Robert.
The patient. Even the ones that patients have in their homes as well. So it's creating a suite of data and being able to then translate that into our system so that it creates relevancy for each patient in relation to the practice model that we're creating. So it's that type of information that we need to focus on as we potentially borrow that data and translate it into new forms of wisdom for our patients.
Robert, you've taken that concept of borrowing data to a whole new level.
You're expanding our definition of partners even further.
Beyond just other healthcare professionals or suppliers.
To include these new data partners.
Like Whoop, as you said, as a consumer device.
But also those clinical grade technologies.
Like Impactus glucometers and cholesterol meters.
And now even funds that patients have at home.
It's all about creating that comprehensive suite of data.
And then translating that into meaningful wisdom for each patient.
That's such a brilliant distinction.
It's about extending the network, isn't it?
Leveraging data from every available relevant source.
That's how we build that truly comprehensive picture.
And provide that immersive, personalized care we discussed.
This really ties into the idea of technology not just as a threat,
but as an essential collaborator, as you're demonstrating.
Your article warns that those who refuse this partnership,
they're often in irreversible decline, or they've already perished.
That's a stark warning, and your examples clarified why.
It underscores the urgency of this adoption.
It's not optional anymore, is it?
Not if pharmacy want to thrive in this new landscape.
You mentioned how many browser tabs and programs pharmacists already have open.
That's a great visual for the current fragmented state.
And how it's only a matter of time before AI integrates these resources.
Making them more efficient, more intuitive.
So it's about borrowing that AI capability.
And using it to enhance, not replace, human expertise.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture,
it's really about leveraging external innovation.
Whether it's a clinical consultation model or an AI platform.
Or these new data partnerships you just highlighted.
To transform the internal workings of the pharmacy.
It all feeds into creating that brand new experience you just mentioned.
The one that goes beyond traditional expectations.
So it's not just about what's old and what's borrowed.
But how these elements come together to create something new.
And that's exactly where we're headed next.
Robert, your insights have truly guided us through this.
We'll dive into something new after the break.
This has been the Deep Dive.
Thanks for joining us, Robert.
I'll see you next time.